What's up, guys? Today, thinking about the channel, thinking about all the videos made, starting to think that there's a little bit of an imbalance to the information I've been sharing. Communication is a two-way street. I think most of the videos are about how to deliver a message or different ways to deliver a message or how to increase your assertiveness like yesterday. But a key thing in communication is the fact that it's two ways. So not only are we sending messages, but we're receiving messages. And the way we do that is through listening. So the purpose of this video is to kind of dig into listening a little bit with a couple key tips that will hopefully improve your ability to communicate. The first of which is focus. Focus is a practicable skill. It's an exercise that you can do throughout the day. In the modern world, I think focus is ever decreasing just with the shorter videos, the shorter attention spans, the way that we consume kind of content, the way we consume images. This doesn't mean that you can't appreciate long form content. I think books are still a great source, movies are still popular, and we can focus our attention for extended periods of time, even if most things around us are kind of shortening that attention span. So if you practice this all the time, practice on focusing exactly on the present moment in front of you and the person in front of you and the goal that you're trying to achieve in that present moment, you will get better at this. It's been I think I've seen an incredible amount of progress relative to my own focus in the past 2 to 3 months. Let's say 70 to 80 days. It's been an intentional part of my daily practice since I started doing these videos and since I started daily writing. It pays off. One crazy side effect of that, as an aside to the video, is my ability to focus has greatly improved my ability to fall asleep. Falling asleep is something I have struggled with throughout my life. I don't know if that's anxiety, overthinking, whatever you want to call it. I have a very active brain, and falling asleep has always been a challenge for me. At some points in my life, staying asleep has even been a challenge, but most of the time, majority of the time, it's just getting to sleep. Focusing and honing in on that, where you're at, the sounds around you, and the things occurring around you, which when you're in bed is typically nothing, except I add in some white noise. It's incredibly relaxing and allows me to drift off to sleep pretty easily. Back to it. So focus. Dedicating 100% of your focus to the person you're listening to, the person that you're communicating with, and focusing intently on what it is they're saying. This leads into the next point of intention. The intention of what you're trying to accomplish by listening, the goal of listening. I'm sure you've heard this before, but if you haven't, it's listening to respond is the typical way that most people listen. They're just waiting for their turn to speak. It doesn't have much to do with listening to understand. A lot of what I've talked about, or throughout all the lessons that I've shared and wisdom and insight that I've shared, understanding is a major piece of communication. It's what successful communication looks like is understanding. One, conveying an understanding to the other person, and two, receiving the understanding or ultimately understanding the other person. That's really the goal. You don't have to agree, but you should understand one another so that way you can leave and operate with that understanding. So the intention of this is to listen to understand, which is going to lead into my third point. And the third point is really, I kind of refer to it loosely as a game or as an exercise that you can challenge your understanding of what it is that's being communicated. And it's the act of labeling. Labeling is a technique that I read in Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. It's a book on negotiation. And truly, negotiations is just high stakes communication, right? But labeling is really an exercise in empathy. And I think it's one of the easiest ways, or a very easy way, to start to be more empathetic to people. By listening to people and listening to what they're going through or listening to what they're conveying, you then try to label what it is that they're conveying. And really what that looks like is a couple starter phrases is it seems like, or it sounds like, it feels like. I like to use, I'm sure that's frustrating, or I'm sure that was a good experience. I'm sure that wasn't what you wanted. These types of ideas, or it seems like that could be a really crazy day, or it sounds like that could be incredibly frustrating. It sounds like that was a really good experience. Each of these is just a little bit of a starter that allows you to then tag on exactly a label of of the information that they're conveying, of the story they're telling, of the emotions that they're feeling. It's saying, hey, I understand you because it sounds like this. And if you're wrong, I think the exercise is attempting to be right with your labels, right? Which then challenges your focus and it challenges listening to understand. So it's really an exercise that is an exercise in listening. It allows you to convey, and if you're wrong, all that does is allow the other person to clarify and helps you better understand, hopefully, what it is that they're trying to say. So again, running through this list really quick, we have focus, which again is it's an improvable skill. Saying that, oh, I don't have much focus or I easily get distracted, that's just accepting your current reality. You could change that. You can practice it with intention and improve. Leading to the next point of the intention of listening, the intention of communicating. It's really to seek understanding and ultimately to understand the person you're communicating with or understand the audience that you have. This is the entire thing. Is when you send a message, your entire goal is to hopefully be understood. So that way that information can impart change, maybe gain a different behavior, or maybe help you get something done. It helps them be successful in most times if you're a leader. So the intention of communication is incredibly important, and the intention of listening is to understand. And lastly, an exercise that kind of hones in your ability or allows you to practice your ability to listen is to label. When you're listening and communicating with somebody, try to label what it is that they're saying with a simple statement that really sums up the emotion and the feeling and the experience that they're really trying to convey. I like to use phrases that start with, or the tool that, as I learned it seems like, it sounds like, and it feels like, or I'm sure that is. And all this is relating with somebody and really trying to label their experience. So that way you can establish that sense of empathy and understanding. Hopefully this helps. You can't lose if you don't quit.